Good morning. If you're just joining on Facebook and YouTube, thank you for joining. We're getting there. It's almost Christmas. We are going to do some movement today. Let's get started. Feet shoulder width apart. We'll start with some easy warm up, some mobilizing of the spine. We'll do some cleansing and clearing. Going to do a little bit of work on the shoulders as well, actually. A little bit more work on the hips today. Some balance as always. So let's start with our knocking. Straight away I got a little click through my spine then. Gently knocking, tapping the back of the body. Tapping that lower back and tapping across the front of the body, tapping on the belly. Just breathing easy in and out through the nose. Remembering to keep the spine long, so really lengthening the spine, lengthening the back of the neck. So imagining you've got an axis running from the crown of the head down, so that creates an axis on which you can rotate. Let's see who's awake. Let's put a little bit of coordination into it and let's do a step now. So you step forwards, step back, step forwards, step back. So we keep on one leg. And then we'll swap, so balance on the other leg, step, step. And then back just to balancing on two. And then gradually slowing it down. Into water waves. That little bit of resistance. Good, and then take a moment. Just letting the breath settle. And then we'll go into spinal cord, bending the knees a little bit more. Just light fists, just gently tucking the fingers, opening up the spine, lifting the sternum. And then tucking the pelvis underneath. Breath in. And breath out. Just pouring the breath in as you open up. Doesn't have to be big breaths, just let the breath be natural. Soft, light, easy breathing, but breath in through the nose. And breath out. Finding your natural rhythm. Smooth, fluid movement and easy, soft breathing. Couple more. And then just giving yourself a moment again, standing tall. See how it feels in the spine, lengthening the spine. Feel that strength in the spine. One palm facing down, and then we bring the other palm facing up. Still a little roundness there, and there's like a little bit of resistance pushing down, a little bit of resistance pushing up. Keeping the shoulder down, keeping this little bit of roundness here in that elbow, and then we're just hinging over. So doing a lateral side, a side bend there. Watch that we're not leaning forward or the head coming forward. So we literally go side and feel this stretch here. Feel this stretch through the armpit, stretching the rib cage, lengthening the rib cage. And then nice little spiral down the middle. So you bring little finger to little finger so you get that spiral going. Same thing, little bit of resistance down, press up and then hinge. Feel that nice lengthening of the ribs there. So feel the ribs, the subtle movement and separation of the ribs. It's quite easy just to move the whole rib cage. We want to get that feeling of the ribs expanding between each other. Get those intercostal muscles lengthening a little bit. Spiral. Spiral. Lengthen the spine first. Lengthen, 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 and then imagine as you've got like a spring, and that spring lengthens up before it leans over. If we just lean over, we just compress. We want to lengthen, create that space between each of the vertebrae first, and then we can lean, and then we can get all of these ribs moving nicely. Also remember just that little bit of resistance pushing down as well. That helps on the opposite side. Notice any difference one side to the other. Couple more. And then take your moment, just again standing, feeling the difference, feeling that lengthening in the spine. And then let's do a little bit of dog wags the tail now. So we've just freed up that spine a little bit side to side. So just going with the hips leading and then getting that spine waving on the top. And really visualize each of the vertebrae moving side to side. So work up through the lower back, and the mid back and the upper back, and then the head just on top. And it's the same thing, we have to keep tall, we have to lengthen up to allow the best range of motion. Always a nice one. Always gets people laughing as well, this one. If you give it the first time they ever do this, they always feel a little bit embarrassed, and then it's like they start laughing and enjoying it. So just enjoy that freedom of movement. Good, and then slow it down. Do a little bit on the shoulders now. So we'll come to that point that we had a little massage on Tuesday if you were in the class, just underneath the collarbone there. Just tuck your fingers in, and then we'll do some big shoulder circles. So we're using the elbow to lift, keep the shoulders down, bring the elbows back, and get that spine opening up. I think we did this one. Did we do it? I can't remember if we did this one on Tuesday. If we did do this one on Tuesday, well, it's good to do it again. And then you can breathe in, lifting the sternum, breathing out as you're coming back. Breathing in, breathing out. Finding your natural breath rhythm. Lifting. Oh, some nice crunches. Let's change direction, so going back and over. Breathing in and out. And just let the lower body move, so you might just find a little bit of bending of the knees a little bit, so we're not locking or being rigid in that lower body. And then let's start paddling in one direction. Lovely one, because you get that nice rotation there through the spine, lengthening. And then let's paddle in the other direction. Lifting the elbows. Good. And then take a rest and give the arms a little bit of a shake out there. Good. Take a moment. We'll work on a little bit on the lower body, on the hips. So let the breath settle first. And then we'll do the leg swing. So you balance on one side and then swing leg. Just free up that swing leg. Balance, swing. See if you can really free up this swing hip. Stabilize, make sure you're stabilized. Nice and strong down the supporting leg side, the standing leg side, and then just free up that swing leg. Breathing easy. Couple more. And then give the legs a little bit of a shake out. Take a moment, you might feel a nice lot of tingling, energy now flowing through the legs, hips warming up a little bit. Let's do some big hip circles. So feet about shoulder width apart, soft in the knees, not a bend, and then just do that big hip circle. Big hip circles. You can pop your hands on the hips, so we go out to the side, you go back, You go to the other side, come forwards. As you come forwards, just that little bit of lift of the sternum as the hips come forwards. Nice big circles. Keep the feet connected to the ground. And then let's go in the other direction. Nice. One more. And take a rest. Again, have a little shake out if you need a little shake out. A good hip mobility one and a hip strength one that I used to do a lot and I'd forgotten all about until I was with my trainer this week and he gave me the practice again to do, and I'm like, yeah, I need to get back on that one. So I'm going to give you this one to do. I think we've done it in the classes before. I'll just come a little bit closer hopefully so you can see there. So I'm going to balance on this hip. So if I'm mirroring you, you're on your right hip. And you're just going to bring, I'll go back to show you what I'm doing with my legs and I'll come forward so you can see the hip. Balance on your right leg and a little bit of bend in the knee. So you're almost like going into an 18th of what we call a pistol squat, where that leg comes forwards. So first of all, just be comfortable with that balanced position. So a little bit of bend in the knee, you're just gently bringing that leg forwards. We're not going deep at all, but you just want that little bit of softness in the knee. So you'll feel that activating and working this hip. Let's just do that to start off with. And then come back up. And then let's have a little practice on the other side. So balance on your left side, as if you're going back to do a single leg squat and then just bringing that front leg forwards. But I mean, it's an 18th. We're going nowhere near anything challenging in terms of squat, but just find that balance. Good. And then what we're going to do is I'll come a little bit closer now so you can see what I'm doing with my hip. We'll go back onto your right leg, balance, and then we're going to use this hip to bring this hip up and down and round. So we're doing like a circle, but I'm not lifting this hip. I'm not doing a hip hitch, lifting this hip. It's a hip hitch and circle using your supporting leg hip. So you get some gentle circles going on. Balancing, lifting. And because we're practicing balance, but if you need to balance, then use something to balance on, because the purpose of this particular exercise is really just to get this hip working. So if you do need to use your hands, or you need to use our invisible tigers, if that helps a little bit. So feeling that right hip working. Really good one, because again, think when we're walking and when we're running, we're landing and we're coming off that supporting leg. We get this little rotation there through the hips. That feels good on that hip. See if it feels exactly the same, or it might feel a little bit clunkier on the other side, or one side might feel more clunky than the other. Get balanced first, a little bit of a hinge back, tiny hinge, just bringing the leg forward. It just stops you doing this and using this knee and this leg to lift. If you just bring that that foot forwards a little bit as he falls over. And then using your left. And you might get a little rise and fall through the knee. That's fine. Make sure you're not over gripping with a foot. It's quite easy just to grip the toes, remembering where we balance with the bubbling spring and the heel. So circling, using this standing leg. It's a nice one. I used to do this a lot. You know, when you start doing exercises and movements and you go, oh yeah, that really works. And then it works and then you forget about it and you come back to it and you go, yeah, I haven't done that for a while. Couple more. And then shake out. It's made my foot itch. Why is my foot itching? Right, give your legs a good shake because you most probably need it after that. And then just take a moment. Let's do a little bit more balance. We'll do a little bit more raise the bubbling spring. So remember on this one, we're just getting that shifting of the center of gravity in the spine following. So just have a little play with that to start off with. You're feeling the weight going towards the bubbling spring, the ball of the foot there. You feel the weight subtly coming to the heel. We're not getting to any point where you have to grab your feet or you lean forwards. We're not getting to any point where you fall back. You just want to feel nice and balanced, with the head balanced over the shoulders, balanced over the pelvis. So there's almost like that spine wave forwards and backwards, but very, very subtle. And then when we get to the point where you get to the front, the bubbling spring, we just come up onto the balls, up onto the bubbling spring, raise the bubbling spring, and then very slowly lower that back down. Shift the weight slightly backwards. Forwards, really finding that window of balance. Lifting tall. If you lift tall, that really helps there as well. Lifting the spine tall. Slowly down. And then just nice and gently breathing in. Breathing out. Keep it smooth, keep it strong. Breathing in. Breathing out. If you have any issues with the ankles, if you're getting any pain, any calf pain, any tightness, then obviously you just stop. And making sure, just keep facing forwards now, just watching that your heels come up almost like behind the ankles, so I'm not rolling out or in at all. A really nice one, this. I love this. It really gets everything energized and working through the lower body, but also keeping that spine strong. Really stretch the toes. I like to stretch my toes out there. And keeping it gentle so we're not forcing, we're not over tightening. Let's do one more. Nice, shaking out. So we've done a little bit of shoulders, hips, ankles. Let's do a nice one. We'll go a little bit wider apart here. So we're going into like a squat position. So when we go down, it's like a wide tiger sort of with a different arm movement. So it's nothing like a wide tiger. So you're going into a squat position. So we come nice and low but tall. So we can almost very subtly tuck the pelvis. I don't want this position, I don't want you to round here, but it's not necessarily a lean forwards, it's more of a drop down. So we go slightly wider apart and we're going to drop down and push the hands out to the side and really stretch the thumbs when you're stretching that area here. Really stretch the wrists and the thumbs. Go down and then come back up. And then again, go down. Just go down to the comfortable position, so it doesn't have to be too low. But if you can go a little bit lower, and then come back up. Down. Stretch. Nice one for stretching out the arm lines. Stretch. Knees are just gliding over the toes. Do a couple more. Really good for legs, stretching the thumbs, fingers pointing towards the sky, stretching out the whole arm. Good, and take a rest, walking your feet in. Let's do pulling down the sky, pulling down the heaven in 6 directions. So we bring our arms up, rotate, overhead, back down the center. Up, keeping that spine long, rotate, down the center. One more. And then interlocking your thumbs, resting there on the lower dantian, bringing the feet together and just taking your moment with your eyes closed. Letting the body rock and sway, spiral, however it feels. And then just when you're ready, taking a slightly fuller breath in, opening your eyes and stepping out. Thanking your body for managing that little practice this morning, this moment. Brushing down the head, brushing down the back, brushing down the arms. And I'm going to head out now and see if the moon is still there. It was amazing this morning, a massive big moon. I did get some pictures, but it doesn't look great on the pictures. But I will share those if you are joining the AIM challenge, so we can go out and have a little mindful moment if you've not already been outside. Thanks for joining. Have a great day. Stay warm because it's a little bit chilly out there, I think, everywhere in the UK. So stay warm. And I'll see you next Tuesday. Have a brilliant weekend. Thanks a lot. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.